Gamers, it is beanie season, and we just got Mannadium in the latest pack, and holy moly, Konami bled me dry for this deck. It is so expensive, it's way too expensive, but it is actually quite good. I will say, not a tier 1 deck, but we do have to cover it. We're going to be covering every new deck pretty much from the box because I'm enjoying a lot of these. I think a lot of these are really cool. For this one in particular, I don't actually recommend building the deck unless you already have these Scareclaw cards and the Kashtira cards. Yeah, this deck is super expensive, but it is quite good. I'm not gonna lie, it is quite good. Still, it has some issues. It's a good combo deck. It's pretty similar to Dragon Link in the sense that going first, you're basically setting up a board that's going to be incredibly hard to out. Even for a dedicated going second deck, it's really hard to beat this deck when it goes first if it pops off. Issue being, this deck hard loses to Maxi, super hard loses to Droll, and those are very, very popular cards in Master Duel. If you get Maxied and you don't have the out, oftentimes you'll be doing a small Mannadium combo. You'll end up like with an Omni Negate trap and a Baron, and that'll be like 4 to 5 summons. So you're pretty much guaranteed to give your opponent 5 cards into Maxi if you don't have the out and you want to set up anything. Otherwise, you can just pass on nothing, or if you're lucky, I guess you can pass on just Fenrir. I definitely would say this deck, because of its weakness to such like popular hand traps, it's probably like tier 2. Enough about the disclaimers. Let's just talk about what the deck does in general. This deck is really cool. It's basically the Visas deck, right? It's the Starfrost deck, if you will. So you have a lot of different field spells in this deck. Like you're running the Tier Limit field spell. This one is only to search the Visa Starfrost. You're running the Reichphobia. This one is to search either your Reichheart or your Visa Starfrost, or in super niche situations, the Scareclaw Kashtira. And you're running the Peaceful Planet Calarium. This one can search Visa Starfrost again, Riamheart or Meek. And you pop Meek by special summoning Riamheart. So basically, if you have Meek on the field and you have Riamheart in hand, quick effect of Riamheart, you can pop the Meek. So then you're going to search your counter trap or your spell, and your Meek is going to summon another Meek from the deck. And then if you pop your Meek again, you get to do that again, and it increases its level by 4. So there's a lot of really interesting lines with this deck. It's kind of hard to talk about without actually playing the deck or like showing a replay. Let's stop talking about it. What we're going to do today is we're going to be looking at replays, and we're going to do some gameplay, I think, in solo mode. I don't think I really want to do live gameplay in ladder for this deck in particular, just because the lines are really long, and I think it's going to be really hard to actually commentate while I'm playing on ladder. So instead, I'd rather commentate some replays to show you like playing through interruption, and then we'll go to solo mode to kind of show you your end board, your goal end board without interruption, you know, where you want to try to head to. Generally speaking, you want to summon 3 level 10 synchros. It would be these 3 over here. Dispater is amazing, by the way. We'll talk about all these cards in depth at the card by card at the end of the video. And you'll also want to have either a 3 to 4 material Appaloosa, or what I like to do is have an elf with a IP Masquerena, which can then become a 3 to 4 material Appaloosa, or it can be a unicorn if I need it, you know. So that's just my preference. I just really like elf. I like the targeting protection as well, but a lot of people would rather play dark over elf, and I understand, you know. Like I just think this card is insane, and they don't have it in TCG, so of course they'd rather play dark. They're used to dark, you know. But I wanted to try with elf, and it's been going very well for me. So yeah, I recommend the elf, but if you want to play dark, totally understandable. And honestly, like, I'm highly considering Chaos Ruler. I haven't seen anyone really play this in the deck, but I feel like this card is probably insane in this deck. Another thing I want to mention before we get into the replays is, while this is the list that I played with while I was, you know, getting those replays and everything, I am seriously considering running a Gamma package. Yeah, Gamma, you know, it's not the best. You have to play Cyframe Driver and everything, and once you summon a monster, you know, you can no longer use it. So if they maxi after your normal summon, you're kind of screwed. But the access to a level 8 synchro is really not bad. You know, you can make yourself an Axel and go straight into Baron de Fleur. Droll is just too good against this deck. Like, Droll is crazy. So, you know, if you get a search off of your field spell to start off your turn and they Droll, at least you could Gamma. So it's not just for Maxi, but I really, like, I'm high-key considering running this. I just am not sure what to remove for it yet. So I do recommend, if you guys want to play around with the ratios a little bit and maybe test out the Gamma, I really recommend it, because like this deck needs all the outs it can get to Maxi and Droll, especially Droll. Maxi, it's like at least you have 6 outs, you know, because you have the 3 Ash Blossoms, the 2 called by, and the cross out. Droll, I only have the 2 called by to out it, so that's just 2 outs. And Droll is literally game winning against this deck. Like, it's crazy good against this deck. Anyway, enough chit chatting. Let's get into those replays. So first off, I'm going to give you probably the replay you want to see, which is like a pretty good turn 1, you know, a pretty ideal turn 1 generally speaking. just kind of setting up the board. So yeah, here we have, and we're gonna go pretty slow here just to talk about these cards at the same time. So we have Riem Heart, Maxi, Reichphobia, Purlarino, and Calarium. This hand is pretty insane. The fact that we drew all 3 field spells is kind of nuts. So I'm just gonna show you what we do here. I'm gonna go Purlarino first to get my Visa Starfrost out of the deck. Then we can go Calarium, and I'm gonna search a Meek. So when you have Calarium, Meek, and Riem Heart in hand, you're feeling really good because what you can do is you can actually use your field spell to chain block the search of Meek and Riem Heart. This is what we're going to do right here. So I normal Meek, then I can go Riem Heart effect, quick effect, pop the Meek to special summon the Riem Heart. So on summon, okay, yeah, so when Meek is popped, you get the effect of Meek to summon another Meek from deck and increase its level by 2 stars. You'll also get the on summon effect of Riem Heart to search, and you'll get the field spell effect to chain block both of those of bringing back your Meek from the grave. It's pretty crazy. So Riem Heart effect to get the search, and then Calarium effect, bring back that level 2 tuner from the grave. So really insane stuff here. We get to bring back the tuner. The Riem Heart will add to my hand the Abscission. We're going to talk about this card soon. And then Meek will summon another Meek from deck, increase its level by 2. Then I'm going to activate Mannadium Abscission. This card targets one monster you control, destroys it, and adds either the Calarium, or if you already have Calarium, it can add another Mannadium spell or trap from your deck to your hand. You're going to add the really strong counter trap that you have. So here we're going to go for this. We're going to target our level 2 Meek, pop it, get to search our awesome counter trap. This is basically Solemn Judgment, except you need to control a synchro monster. Really, really strong. And we get our Meek effect here to summon another Meek from our deck and increase its level by 2. That's right, it is not once per turn. Insane card. Insane card. Then I can use the Graveyard effect of Abscission. That's right, this card is crazy. The Graveyard effect is actually really good as well. You can banish it to special summon your Visa Starfrost from your hand. So banish it, summon the Starfrost. Then we're going to go into our Scareclaw Lightheart. Now, as you can see, I already have Reichphobia in hand, but I just figured we can deck thin a little bit, and if my opponent has an Ash or something, even though if they had an Ash, they would have already used it, obviously. Maybe they'll use it on Lightheart, but, that's neither here nor there. Get myself a Reichphobia. Then we're going to activate Reichphobia, search the Reichheart from our deck, and you guys can kind of see how all these archetypes are melding together here. Reichheart, I'm going to get myself an Arrival and a Draw. We're going to go Arrival effect, bring back our Starfrost from the grave. So using Starfrost and Riem Heart here, I'm going to make a Chaos Angel, and I'm not going to lie, this was a slight misplay. I wanted a Chaos Angel with both effects, but I didn't realize that Visa Starfrost is actually a light monster. I thought it was a dark monster. So, a slight misplay here. I should have used the Reichheart instead of the Riem Heart so that I had a dark and a light to make my Chaos Angel. Not the end of the world, because the light effect is a lot better. Synchro monsters you control are unaffected by monster effects activated by your opponent. This is kind of like a pseudo, like nib protection for your synchro monsters. But since I made that misplay, I would have been better off just summoning Baron here. But, it's pretty interchangeable at this point. I don't think the misplay is that big a deal because you're still going to get to the same end board. So I don't think it's really a big deal. We're going to keep going here. Using the Riem Heart as well as the Reichheart, we can make ourselves a Axel Synchro Stardust. Axel is going to bring back a level 2 tuner from the grave. And we can go up into Bestial Dissipator. This is pretty much the only way to make Dissipator in this deck. You use the Synchro Stardust Dragon. And since it's a dragon, it's the non-tuner dragon monster you need to make Dissipator in this deck. So this is going to be your main way of making Dissipator in this deck. And Dissipator is a really good card if you guys have yet to read it, because this is a very new card. Basically, when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can return a banished card to the deck. And if you return one of your own banished cards, the monster is popped. If you returned a banished card from your opponent, the monster effect is negated. So really, really strong card. And it also has the ability to special summon a light or dark monster from your banish pile. This is super useful for your combo and very important. So you do want to get Dissipator before, you don't want Dissipator to be a last synchro most of the time. Either way, we're going to keep going here. So using our Meek and our Lightheart, we can go into Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep is crazy in this deck because we can banish the Riem Heart as well as the Visa Starfrost, summon out the one and only, smoke in that Astral Loud pack, baby. Got the vicious Astral Loud with the dope animation, trigger Cross Sheep effect, summon a monster from the grave. We summon our level 2 Meek, and we have enough to make ourselves a Baron de Fleurs. So yeah, I would say my order was pretty bad, and I should have made a Baron first in case, just to play through certain hand traps and stuff like that. But, end board ends up being pretty much the same here. Now we're going to go for Dissipator effect, bring back the the Visa Starfrost from our banished pile to the field. Then we can special the Lightheart from the grave because we control the Visa Starfrost. Using Lightheart and Cross Sheep, I make a Sprite Elf. And then with Sprite Elf, I'm going to bring back my Meek from the grave to make an IP Masquerena. If you don't want to run Sprite Elf here, what you would have done, instead of making Sprite Elf, is you would have used all 3 materials and you just went straight into an Appaloosa. So, you know, that's really up to you. I just really like the Sprite Elf. And either way, my opponent scoops here, but we would have made an IP Masquerena under the Elf, and it would have been really strong. So I just thought this was the first replay I should show you because, you know, kind of getting to see all the cards in action, kind of getting to see pretty much a full combo. Not saying I didn't misplay at all, you know, and the combo wasn't perfect, but it does give you an idea of just general path that the deck wants to take. Now let's move on to a going second replay. All right, so for this next one, we're going to be going second against Labyrinth. And obviously Labyrinth is one of the best going first decks, but I will say in this scenario, they didn't have the best setup for a Labyrinth deck. I guess their hand was just not very good. But we also don't have like many hand traps or anything like that. It's not like we just ash the Labyrinth card and win. So I think this is a pretty good showcase of just playing around some Labyrinth cards and just, you know, going second with the deck with only really engine cards, you know, other than like Called by the Grave. So in the draw phase, they're going to go Welcome Labyrinth to summon out the Lady Labyrinth. And we're going to go to our main phase. I'm going to go Peaceful Planet Calarium to add the Riem Heart. And I'm going to normal summon my Reichheart. They're going to ash my Reichheart. I'm going to hold my Called by because I want to stop them from searching with Lady Labyrinth when they activate whatever this trap is. So I'm holding my Called by to chain it to whatever this trap is. Here we're going to go for our Lightheart. Lightheart effect, we get to search a card, but here they're going to go for Big Welcome Labyrinth. I'm going to chain Called by on their Stovey Torby just so they don't get a search of a trap with their Lady Labyrinth. So here we go. Going to banish the Stovey Torby, and then their Big Welcome resolves. They're going to summon out the lovely Labyrinth of Silver Castle. This is already not looking great for them. They're going to bounce back their Lady Labyrinth, and they're going to get to pop a card here with Lovely Labyrinth, but it's really not going to achieve much. They pop our Lightheart. We're going to go for Triple Tactics Talent, taking control of the lovely Labyrinth over here. And I'm going to activate my Reichphobia to grab myself a copy of Visa Starfrost. We're going to go Visa Starfrost, pop the Labyrinth, summon out the Visa Starfrost. Lightheart can special summon itself from the grave since we control Visa Starfrost. Go Scareclaw Arrival, which we already had in hand, the W, to summon out the Reichheart. Riem Heart is going to pop the Reichheart so we can summon the Riem Heart and search ourselves a copy of Meek. Summon out the Meek. Using these two, I'm going to make myself a copy of Baron de Fleur. This is kind of a simplified game state, you know. Going to use these two to make ourselves a Cross Sheep. And then we can banish these two from the grave to summon out our one and only Vicious Astrolaud. Astrolaud to the arrow that Cross Sheep points to. We get the special summon from grave. And I could have went into a level 10 Synchro, but we really didn't need to. We just swing for game. Even if they tried to activate Lady in hand, we would just negate it with Baron de Fleur. So very simple replay here, but just kind of showing going second, you know, using your tools, playing through a couple interruptions. I wouldn't say it's the most impressive one, but I don't have that many amazing like going second replays other than replays where like I activate like the right hand trap and then I just win, you know, like I'm not going to show you like I activated Maxi and I ashed the branded fusion type of replay, you know, like I don't think that's really going to tell you much about this deck, you know. Another useful replay I could show you, however, sometimes you won't have access to all your engines. So this is going to be one where you're mostly just playing with your Scareclaw engine. So obviously you're going to have a bit of a gimped board in those scenarios. As you can see, this hand is not like the best, you know. So here I'm going to go for reinforcement of the army. We're going to grab ourselves a Reichheart, and I'll just kind of take you through the steps here. We're going to go Reichheart effect to grab ourselves a copy of Arrival. Then we go into our Scareclaw Lightheart. Lightheart will search our planet Reichphobia. Reichphobia, we can search our Visa Starfrost. Visa Starfrost, pop the Lightheart, summon Visa Starfrost. Lightheart comes back from the grave. We can activate Arrival to bring back our Reichheart. Using these two, we can make ourselves a Baron de Fleur. Then I go and link into another Lightheart just so I can, you know, thin my deck out a little bit. Now we're going to go for Kashira Scareclaw, banishing the other Lightheart. Using these two, make ourselves a Cross Sheep. Then we can banish these two from the grave to summon out the Vicious Astrolaud. And I didn't even have a target in grave for my Vicious Astrolaud because, you know, we had to banish the Reichheart. So this Cross Sheep was kind of useless, to be honest with you. Here I could have used these two to make myself an Elf, just to have targeting protection on my Baron if I wanted to. The reason I kept the Cross Sheep on the field is because I actually kind of wanted to keep the Astrolaud. I figured, you know, battle protection is not bad, and we did have the Mannadium counter trap in hand, so, you know, an extra counter trap with the Baron de Fleur is not too bad, and I had some hand traps, so I was feeling like, you know, this isn't great. It's clearly not as good as, like, your full combo, but it still seems decent, you know? Our opponent is going to go Planet Pathfinder, going to go Max C, they're going to go Called by the Grave. I'm actually going to negate Called by the Grave because Planet Pathfinder equals Kashtira. And if they're playing Kashtira and we get a couple of draws and we can just live through some of what they're doing here, we should be doing pretty okay. I'm actually going to Ash the field spell. I rarely do this, but I decided it'd be pretty good since now if they go Unicorn, they can go Theosis. We can negate Theosis. Don't really care about the Unicorn effect here. They can banish my Chaos Angel. They're going to go for a Rise Heart, giving me another draw. They just keep giving me draws, and they're going to summon out a Big Eye, you know, so I'm not feeling too bad about it. I kind of had the feeling they would not be able to OTK, and they really weren't able to. They're going to swing with Baron de Fleur here, and they have a Big Eye and my Baron with no negate. So we're not too worried about the Baron de Fleur here. It's just a big body, really. We're going to activate our second copy of Reichphobia. Another good reason to, you know, search the second one. And yeah, we're under Max C, but it's really not that big a deal. We just got to play around as a Nibiru, and they can't even Imperm because of their field spell. Here we're going to bring back our Kashtira, and we're going to go Peaceful Planet, pop the Meek to summon out the Ryam Heart, trigger all three, you know, chain block the Ryam Heart and the Meek with the field spell, get to search out a Torrid with the Ryam Heart. Using the level 4 Meek and the regular Ryam Heart, we can make ourselves a Stardust Axel Dragon and make ourselves a Dissipator. Dissipator is really good. Then we can go Abscission, I mean, in the grave, banish it to summon out Visa Starfrost. Since we have Visa Starfrost, we can special the Torrid from hand, make ourselves a IP Masquerena. I'm going to go Dissipator, bring back my Visas Astrolaud. They're going to chain their Telemans Kashtira. We don't care. I'm holding my Dissipator Monster Negate for if they go for Nibiru, so we really don't give a shit. We're going to go for Nightmare Unicorn here. Unicorn effect, discard to bounce the Big Eye. We didn't even need to do that because we have Access Code Talker coming into the fray here. Access Code, banish the Unicorn to pop the Telemans Kashtira. Whoops. Whoa, no, my bad. I mean, we're banishing 2 to summon Vicious Astrolaud, popping the Baron de Fleur to gain the attack with the Astrolaud. Then I'm going to banish a Link from my grave to pop the Telemans card. They're going to build a bit more, summon out the Kashtira Scareclaw before the battle phase, but we still have a Link in grave that we can banish to pop the Kashtira Scareclaw. So we pop it, still holding on to our negate for the potential nib, but no nib. So we're just going to go in and swing for game, and that's about it. Even if they had Imperm or something like that, they couldn't use it because I left them with the field spell. I think that was actually a pretty good showcase of, like, you know, OTKing through kind of a board. It wasn't much of a board, right? But, you know, not bad. Not bad. Anyway, let's go to solo mode. Now, I will say most of the time I do have hands that can play with MANNADIUM and everything. Those Scareclaw hands are not the most common. Like a hand like this is like insane. This is super crazy. So here, yeah, well, this hand is super nuts. Okay. We would go Reinforcement of the Army. And I would definitely grab the Ryam Heart with this. Reason for that being, we already have Reichphobia to search our our Visa Starfrost. So let's go for a Reichheart effect here. I'm going to add myself an Arrival. Add the Arrival. Also, fun fact, if they Imperm your Reichheart, you can pop it with Ryam Heart, which is pretty nice. So here we're going to go into our Scareclaw Lightheart. Just like so. And, you know, we just thin the deck. Also, this is always good to do, even if you already have the field spell, just to bait out your opponent, you know. So here we go. Grab the Reichphobia, because if they have the Ash, they might Ash the Lightheart. And then, like, if you already had the field spell, then you're feeling pretty good about that. So we're going to go for a Reichphobia. Reichphobia, we're going to search ourselves a Visa Starfrost. So here is Visa Starfrost. And I'll show you what we do here. So we go Visa Starfrost, pop the Lightheart. Pop the Lightheart. There we go. And now, since we have a Visa Starfrost on the field, we can special summon Meek from our hand, because it says if you control Visa Starfrost or a monster with 1500 attack and 2100 defense. So we can special Meek. We could have also specialed Meek when we controlled Reichheart, to be honest. Like, it doesn't really matter when you do it. From here, we could go Arrival, or we could go, you know, Ryam Heart. Arrival might be better in this scenario because we can get, like, our Baron pretty early. Obviously, we'll lose the Starfrost if we do that, and we won't get to summon it again. But that's not necessarily the end of the world. So here I'm actually going to go Arrival, grab our Scareclaw Reichheart, and with these two, we can make ourselves a Baron pretty early. I mean, this doesn't play around Nib. We still played into Nibiru, you know, so, like, it's more just like if you want some, you know, if you want to be insulated from a couple of hand traps, well, you can be. Now we're going to go Ryam Heart, pop the Meek on the field. And it's going to special our Ryam Heart. Now, of course, we don't have the other field spell, the Calarium, to chain block us. So you kind of have to choose which of these two search effects you care more about. In this scenario, I would say I care more about the Meek. So we're going to go Meek, Chainlink 1, and we're going to go Ryam Heart, Chainlink 2. So here we go. Ryam Heart is going to add to our hand a copy of either Abscission or the Trap. Abscission would get us our field spell in this scenario. So we would not get to see our counter trap at all, but we would get another Visa Starfrost if we went for Obsession here. I think I'm gonna go for Obsession here. You'll see why. So here we go. Here's Meek. Change the level of the monster. Yes. Now we're gonna. Well, it doesn't really matter if you change the level of the monster because I'm actually gonna go Obsession here and pop the Meek. Pop the Meek. So that's 2 Meeks dealt with. So here we go. Meek effect. We get to summon the 3rd Meek from our deck here. So here it is. Change its level. We can go Calarium. Add to our hand the Visa Starfrost. And yeah, now we can go for Obsession in the grave, banish it to summon out the Visa Starfrost from our hand. Here's the boy. We can activate our Lightheart to bring it back from the graveyard, just like so. We can use these two to make ourselves a Axel Synchro Stardust. So we're going to do just that. Here's Axel Synchro. Axel Synchro. Axel Synchro is going to summon a level 2 tuner from your grave. So grab this one here. Perfect. So we can make ourselves a Bestial Dissipator using the Meek as well as the Axel Synchro Stardust. Very, very useful. Very useful. I'll show you why in a moment. Next up here, let's use these two and make ourselves a Cross Sheep. So using these two, we make a Cross Sheep. So if we want, we can get to the 2 protection Chaos Angel from here, and I'll show you how. So Dissipator can summon a banished monster that is light or dark. So we could banish our Visa Starfrost and bring back a level 4 dark from our grave, which would be Reichheart. So what we're going to want to do is make sure that our Reichheart is still in the grave to summon off of Cross Sheep when we summon our Astrolaud. So because of that, when you make your Vicious Astrolaud, make sure not to banish the Reichheart. You're going to summon it, you're going to banish the Ryomheart and the Visa Starfrost because you want access to a dark in your grave and a light in your banish pile, which is the Visa Starfrost you're going to summon with Dissipator. So here's Vicious Astrolaud. Astrolaud hits the field. Super swaggy, okay? And you're not actually going to get a level 2 tuner here. Instead, with Cross Sheep effect, you're going to summon out the Reichheart. So here's Reichheart. And now we can go Dissipator effect. Grab our Visa Starfrost. Yes. Bring it over here. Here's Visa Starfrost. With these two, make a Chaos Angel. And now you have a light and a dark to make your Chaos Angel. So all your Synchro monsters are going to be unaffected by monster effects, and they can't be destroyed by battle. Well, all your monsters can't be destroyed by battle. So this is pretty amazing to have all 3 of these on the field at the same time. It's pretty broken. Obviously, because I did this here, I don't get to do as much. I don't really want to make the Appaloosa in this scenario. What I would do probably here is just make the Sprite Elf and just get my targeting protection going. I'm very happy to just have a Sprite Elf since we can get to IP Masquerena. Just having the full package on these Synchros is already good enough. We get the Sprite Elf out here, and you know, this is going to be good for the grind game as well. Obviously, right now, these level 2 monsters are not super useful. It's just kind of there on the field, you know, type of deal. So, you know, not that great. But we have a Maxi in hand, Baron, Omni Negate, Dissipator, Chaos Angel. We were not able to get our trap in the combo line I did this turn, but I still think this is a really solid combo overall. We're going to pass turn here. Well, I mean passing turn. We're playing against a friggin' solo mode Buck deck. I don't think we need to really see that. We're actually not going to pass turn. We're just going to get out of here. All right, so finally for the card by card. All in all, I do think this deck is really solid. Going first, it definitely sets up a pretty unbreakable board. Very difficult to crack, and it's got a lot of gas too. So going second, it's not the worst either. Now, I'm not playing a lot of board breakers in my build. You can play some more board breakers, you know, like when it comes to the staples, like the Triple Tactics Talents, you know, the Imperm that's chilling over here. Even to an extent, you could even argue the Kashtira cards. These cards can be replaced by cards you prefer. Same goes for the Elf. You can replace this with a Dark. You can replace this Elf with a Chaos Ruler potentially. I haven't tried it yet, but I think Chaos Ruler might be quite good in this deck. But I'd have to try it out to really tell. But either way, I do think this deck is still really, really solid. It's just a shame that you really hard lose to Maxi, you hard lose to Droll. There's just no getting around it, and sometimes you'll have hands where you're just setting up kind of a gimped board with these Scareclaw cards because you don't get access to your MANNADIUM plays. It's not the worst though, like it's still quite good. It's just, you know, not ideal sometimes. Either way, for the card by card here, we have 3 copies of Maxi, 3 copies of Meek. This card is not once per turn. It's crazy. Summons itself 3 times. It's just nuts. 1 copy of Torrid. This card, we didn't get to show in this video, but basically, if you pop Torrid, you can summon Meek from your deck. So, you know, pretty good. 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 copies of Rykard, obviously, to search your field spells. It's just, it's essential. You absolutely need it. 3 copies of Ryam Heart. This is, you also need it, obviously. 2 copies of Visa Starfrost. This is kind of like the, it's kind of like the you know, the ace monster of the deck, if you will, in a way. Like, it's the face of the deck, you know? It's the mascot. 2 copies of Kashtira Fenrir, 1 copy of Kashtira Scareclaw. I especially like having access to Scareclaw Kashtira because, like, if you don't have access to your Rykard, this is another way to get to this field spell. So, you know, if you special Fenrir, search Kashtira Scareclaw, and can get that Scareclaw on the field, well, then you can actually get a search on your Ryphobia, get your, you know, your Visa Starfrost. So it just extends your plays really well. So I really like it, but I would say it's not necessarily a must play. I could even see people maybe play Bestial in this deck, but I haven't tested it, so I'm not going to speak on that. Personally, I would play the Kashtira cards, but, you know, I don't think they're 100% must play. The reinforcement of the army is absolutely insane in this deck, because you can search either Rykard, Ryam Heart, or Visa Starfrost, and all of these cards are like amazing and must-haves to have full combo. 2 copies of Talents. This is super optional, but I like it. 2 copies of Arrival, 2 copies of Obsession. Obsession is kind of crazy. The fact that it can pop a card, search your counter trap, and then from grave banish it to summon the Starfrost is just a lot of utility in one card. It's also very searchable with your Ryam Heart, or if you don't want to search it with Ryam Heart, you can always just go straight for your counter trap. This is also super searchable. So yeah, I really like Obsession. It's a good card. 2 copies of Ryphobia, obviously. The Perlerino for a Visa Starfrost, the Planet Rightsoth to get a Fenrir to then get a Kashtira Scareclaw. 3 copies of Calarium. This field spell is insane as well. This card is insane. The fact that you can search a MANNADIUM monster is already good enough, but the fact that not only can you search with it, but you can also pop a MANNADIUM and then chain block your effects by just bringing back a MANNADIUM from grave with the field spell is really insane, and this has come up a lot for me. So yeah, this field spell is nuts. 2 copies of Called By, 1 copy of Crossout, 1 copy of Imperm, and 1 copy of Reframing. For the extra deck, you need 2 Vicious Astrolaud. The first Vicious Astrolaud you've already seen is for the combo with Cross Sheep, and then oftentimes the second Vicious Astrolaud is just to help like clear whatever your opponent might have set up on turn 2. It's just very, very important in the grind game to have 2 Vicious Astrolaud. Tri-Edge Master. I didn't really showcase this card much today. This is not a must play, by the way. Like, if you want a level 6 like Synchro monster to just like climb up into a Synchro 4 and get a draw off of it, you can always play Stardust Charge Warrior, and this will do exactly the same job. Like, the only difference is this one is wind, whereas this one is light, which means that it plays around with your Dissipator if you banish it or stuff like that. It just has some utility in the deck, but it's definitely not a must play. Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon is insane. It's a must play. Baron de Fleur, obviously. Dissipator, obviously. Chaos Angel, I would say you can change Chaos Angel for Cheng Ying if you prefer, but Cheng Ying is not that easy to trigger in this deck, so I much prefer having the Chaos Angel, and the protection effect on Chaos Angel is crazy. Also, if you don't play Chaos Angel, then you really don't need to play Tri-Edge Master. That's another use for this card, is it's a level 6 light that you can get if you need it for your Chaos Angel, you know? 2 copies of Lightheart, 1 copy of IP Masquerena, 1 copy of Cross Sheep. I'm running the Sprite Elf. I already talked about what you can replace this card with. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn, 1 copy of Appaloosa, and of course the access code Talker. This deck is really good at link summoning, actually, so don't sleep on the link package, and definitely you must run Cross Sheep. This card is insane. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. Make sure to like the video. I would highly appreciate it. Comment. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you're mad or if you got good pulls. And actually, this deck is super cheap, bro. You just got unlucky. Maybe I got unlucky. I might have gotten unlucky. Either way, interact with the video in some way. It helps me out a lot, okay? Thank you. Thank you. All right. Bye.